Hey guys, Andy here. So Xiaomi, I guess you call it a sub-brand, I don't know, Poco. The Poco phones always seem to generate a bit of a stir. I think usually around their value. So today I'm looking at the Poco X3 NFC, which cost me, I think it was £200. And you get quite a lot of phone for your £200. And that's what we're going to take a look at today. So as is kind of Poco style now, it's a fairly plain black box with kind of yellowy orangey highlights. See from the bottom there, this is the cobalt blue 6 gig of RAM, 128 gig ROM. They have quite a nice, it reminds me a little bit of the early OnePlus devices, the packaging now on the Poco devices. Well, Xiaomi devices, I suppose, generally. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a case in here. That's often how they roll. There we go, there is a case with our instruction booklet, and I think there's a SIM tool on the front. Usually fairly, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty standard, let's be honest, fairly ugly case, but it is at least some protection, which is, I think it's a good idea with a new device. You don't want to be dropping it on day one before you've had a chance to order a new case for it. Here's the phone, is that? Oh, the Poco's on the actual back of the device. Let's come back to that in a second. Let's see what else is in the box. Just charger and cable by the looks of it. That's quite a large charging brick. Have a quick look at what the 33 watt fast charging, 62% in 30 minutes it claims. So that is that. I don't think there's anything else in there. It is USB Type C, as you would expect really from any phone in this day and age now. So a few of the selling points on the front there. Snapdragon 732G. 120 Hz display on a £200 phone, 5,160 mAh battery. When I jumped over there, the 64 megapixel AI quad camera, 20 megapixel in display front facing camera. So we take that's actually very nice. It's very nice. Let's take this bit off as well. But yeah, that's quite nice. That's slightly recessed power button. I wonder if is that where the fingerprint sensor is. Let's read a few of the specs off the website for you. So it's 215 grams, and it doesn't actually feel too bad, I wouldn't have said. Gorilla Glass 5, IP53, a little odd, splash proof. The screen is an IPS LCD, 2400 by 1080, 6.67 inches. You can see there the pinhole camera at the front. Software, as you can see, is MIUI 12. HDR10, as I've said, 120 Hz refresh rate, 450 nits typical brightness. So I'll be testing that myself for the actual review. I've mentioned the chipset. It's an octa-core processor, Adreno 618 GPU. It says it's got a micro SD card slot shared with the SIM. This is the bigger version, the 128 gig. So I think it might have cost me $230. I probably should look up before at some point. The cameras on the back, we've got a 64 megapixel f1.9 regular wide angle, which isn't bad. 13 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide. A 2 megapixel macro and a 2 megapixel depth sensor, both of which, well, to be fair, I don't know how useful the depth sensor is. I assume that helps with portraits and focusing and that kind of thing. Macro cameras, only one camera I remember it being half decent. I can't remember which phone that was though, but generally they're a bit of a gimmick. 4K video at 30 frames per second. It goes up to 960 frames per second on 720p. Gyro electronic image stabilization. The selfie camera is 20 megapixel f2.2 wide angle, it's fine, HDR. 1080p at 30 frames per second. Stereo speakers, 3.5mm jack, there it is on the base, can you see that? So it ticks a lot of boxes. Type 2 Type C, or 2.0 Type C charging connector at the bottom. NFC, as I guess you might expect from the title, Poco X3 NFC. Yes, side-mounted fingerprint sensor. Huge big battery that I've mentioned already. Yeah, it seems to tick a lot of boxes. So, I think what I would do at this point, well, actually I don't really look around the outside. So the recessed power button, which I think has got the fingerprint sensor built in. Got the volume rock on the same side, which I actually really appreciate now. I think OnePlus put it on the other side. And the amount of screenshots I end up taking, because I'm holding it when I press the power and it does both of them. So we've just got, I think that's the SIM tray slot on the left. Looks like maybe just some mics and things on the top. I don't know if that looks a bit like an IR blaster. I don't see it right away in the specs. Speaker, might say stereo speakers though. I guess the other one's just the one at the top there. Whoopsie daisy. Oh, one's the flash. Yeah, I was going to say it looks like there's 5 lenses. One's the flash, of course. That's not out of network. So yeah, I think at this point I'll get logged in. I'll get all the apps updated, check for updates on the actual system. I'll nip outside while there's some daylight and take a couple of photos and some video just so I get a real quick glimpse of that. I'll get Geekbench installed and I'll run that to see what that scores. And then I'll come back and we'll just have a look at things like the screen quality and stuff like that. And I'll give you my very first initial impressions. So I'll be back in a second. So I think I've got everything signed in, everything set up. There's a few updates, a lot of app updates. There was an actual system update with just sort of stability and I think it said smoothness and something like that. Installed Geekbench 5 and scored 1,679, which I think is, for its price, is quite good. It's within touching distance of the OnePlus Nord, which is just under 1,900. It's almost identical to the Mi Note 10. Now, both of those devices were up over £300, so this at 200 and a bit. I think is a pretty respectable score. I mean, it's not going to match anywhere near the big boys, but for the money you're paying, you don't expect it to. I played a little bit of Mario Kart, seemed fine, nice and smooth, no problems, no issues, no stutters, definitely playable. Slightly tacky feeling screen because I think it comes with the pre-installed screen protector, which is normally most noticeable around the front-facing camera. So it's, I mean, normally I would take that off and I'd enjoy the Gorilla Glass 5, but I have managed to scratch a few screens over the last year, so I tend to leave them on now. The side-mounted fingerprint sensors kind of caught me out a couple of times where I've I don't know if I have to press the power still or not, and I think I do. So if I just put my thumb on, oh, I didn't press the power, no, so fine, okay. And that might be why I've caught myself out, because I've thought I've had to press power and I don't. Seems quite quick, seems quite reliable, no issues there. Let's have a look at the camera, I suppose. So we bring in Captain America here. There we go, and I mean that looks all right. Maybe not quite fair. I was quite close to him though, so I think maybe it's a little bit unfair. But I dashed outside. I took a few photos. I think probably I need to adjust the aspect ratio of the photos. They look a little bit odd because they look almost square, and you can adjust the aspect ratio. So I'll do that before the main review. I took a couple of photos indoors in low light. They looked okay. Took some pictures outside, that looked alright, that seemed okay. A wide angle, or the ultra wide angle, again looked to be okay. Took a portrait photo of myself using the front face camera. It looked alright. And then I did some video. The video seemed a little shaky, a little jerky as I panned. It didn't look great from first impressions. But this is literally just first impressions. You might want to wait for the full review to get a bit of a better idea for the camera. If you're not already a subscriber, please do, because I'll probably throw some sample video footage up at some point just so you can see that. Let's move on and have a bit of a look at the screen. So I'm just going to bring one of my own videos up. One of the biggest problems with sampling the screen is that I'll usually use like a music video, and I'll do a little bit of music video shortly, but YouTube always wants to take me down when I do that. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of fair use and this, that and the other that I should be able to say, no, I'm allowed to do that. But that would take probably a month or so to go through, and you guys don't want to be waiting a month to see the video. So let's see if there's, maybe this is not the best of videos. Oh yeah, I'm just telling that this is one of my vlogs. It's a little dark, but I think that's the video rather than the screen. So, sounds okay, sounds reasonable, you know, for a phone. Again, I'm going to use it for my podcasts and everything else, and probably watching Netflix and things at work. So I'll be able to give you more detail when I do the review in like a week or so's time. This is just a really quick glimpse of the device. So far, I mean, it seems like for the money you're paying, it seems a good device. The screen looks really nice. I don't even know if I've got the 120 Hertz selected at the moment, but I will. Again, I'm going to look into more detail. This is just a first look, a bit of a glimpse around, a bit of a look at the hardware itself, which Poco and Xiaomi often do. Seems very good for the money that you pay. So I think that's the lot for just the quick first look. Let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular you want to know about for the review. I'll try and remember when I get to the review to come back to that. It does seem a nice device. For 200, I think I might pay, again I should have checked, I don't know for the review. I think I paid 230 for the one with the more RAM, or ROM. Yeah, it seems a good device. So, if you aren't already subscribed, please do give the video a thumbs up because that helps. Thanks very much to my Patreons. I know I've not kicked out many videos recently. I've got a few that are on their way. I've got the GoPro Hero 9, for example, sitting here, that arrived yesterday. I've got a few other bits lined up, so in the next week or so, there should be some more videos. Thanks very much for now. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.